and they make calls to these students. So these students that we're working with, they check in on them, say, how are you doing? That personal phone call, that personalized sort of attention that we get can be done other ways than just hiring another full-time advisor, pay all the benefits for. They also have call centers. They hire people to come in and just make calls that aren't necessarily teachers. There are different ways to do this, what we call intrusive case management, where we're just calling them and making that personal contact with them throughout the year. They get to see the advisor too, but the advisor can't meet with them all the time. The other thing they do, there are students that come there that don't need that advising. They're always that group of students that they know they're coming through, they know what they want to do, they're on their way, they don't need help. They go, so we don't need to spend a lot of time with those. We need to sort those folks out. And the students that are here only take one class. That's it. They just want to learn how to use WordPerfect. So they're coming here to take that one class. We don't need to spend a lot of time with them. It's those students that are, is WordPerfect an old term? Yes. It's just an example. Hang in there, folks. Word. Harvard graphics, right? Yeah. Oh, it's PowerPoint now, so I know. But anyway, so they come in and take that class and move on. So we need to identify, sort out those students that we need to, that very intrusive with, that we need to really spend a lot more time in that personal touch, call them and talk to them periodically, once a month or more. The faculty advisor, work with them more closely. That's that intrusive case management that we've got to put in place. There are some costs to that, but there's not as much cost as you would think up front. Predictable class scheduling. So we have, right now, in the past, tenured faculty set up classes. I'm going to teach in the morning in general. We've got some tenured faculty here. Carl and Travis. But typically, over the years, faculty pick what they're going to do. They're going to, typically in the morning, at about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, a lot of them are heading off campus, and they've got the rest of the day to do another part-time job or whatever they want to do, go with their family. And so we were kind of setting up the schedules for the convenience of not just the faculty, but the staff. Well, we need to set up the schedule for the student. And many of our students work. Over half of them work somewhere. So they need to take their classes in the morning or in the afternoon. And so in the past, what we've had is students come in and meet with their advisor, say, hey, I've got the morning off, and my boss has let me have the morning off, so I'm going to schedule all my classes in the morning. Will they go in there? Well, the classes that they need, they look up and they sign up for in the morning, they don't get. They're in the afternoon, they're in the evening, there's something that doesn't work with them because it changes. They'll sign up for it, and it doesn't fill, or for another reason, it doesn't happen, and so they get bumped out of the class, and now they're frustrated because they already got their boss to buy off on taking the morning off. I'm out of here. I'm just going to work. I have to work. I've got to put food on the table. Out of here. So predictable class scheduling is we put scheduling out there for a year in advance, and we guarantee that class is going to happen when it is. So they can look at the schedule, go online and look at what that schedule and the classes are set, and they talk to their boss. Well, I can get my degree or my certificate if I get them all in the morning or all in the evening or on the weekend, wherever it happens to be, their convenience. Looks like I've got it all. I've got them all listed here a year out, and they've talked to their boss, and he says, okay, I'll give you the time to do that. If we've got it on the schedule, it's going to happen, regardless if there's 3 people in that class or 21 in that class. We're going to make it happen. Now, we'll learn that we won't put it on the schedule. If there's only 2 or 3 signing up, after a year or two, and we get this implemented, 2 or 3 signing up, we'll figure a better place to put that schedule and predictable. But if we put it on the schedule, it's going to happen. And what we haven't done in the past is guaranteed that class will happen. And that's hurt a lot of students. These students will walk away with any sort of obstacle that comes in front of them. So if they get some sort of a barrier at all, we're going to lose them, many of them. So that predictable class scheduling is what we're going to put in place. Coherent and individualized education plans, and career goals, every student's going to have that up front. They're going to know what it is that they're going to go for, and the advisor or whoever's calling out to talk to them is saying, hey, you're still on track, or you're not on track, what's going on here? Come on in, we need to spend some more time with you. You're struggling with this. We need to fix that. The math and English, you heard Jeanette talk about math. 60 to 70% of our students that come here out of high school do not qualify for college level math. So here, they come out of high school, hey, I'm out of high school, I'm an adult, I'm ready to go on with my life, things are great. First thing that happens, they find out they're a failure because they can't pass into the math college placement. They're put in lower level math and they struggle, and most don't get out of lower level math. If we put them in lower level math, developmental math, they struggle and waller around and they just walk away. The data shows that they just do not complete and we lose them. I mean, there's data for different ethnic groups where if they're put in the lowest level of math, I think kind of where Jeanette was talking about, the stat is in some ethnic groups 0% chance that they're going to finish college because they're in these classes and just they don't move forward. So what we're doing on the math and English part, English isn't as bad, is we're doing co-requisites. So instead of putting them in developmental math, the lower level, we're going to put them all in basically in the college level math, but we're going to have what we call co-requisite. They're going to get extra instruction, or what we sort of like tutoring on the side. So if their class is for 2 hours of math, then they're going to get an extra hour, the ones that need it, right with the same instructor or a different instructor right after that class. So it's really a 3-hour class. They're going to get that extra tutoring that's part of that program to help them get through it. And it's been proven to be successful all over the country. The colleges have implemented what we call co-requisites in English and math, have been much more successful in getting their students through, and they have a much higher completion rate at a college. And so math and English are two of the big barriers to it, math particularly, to folks, our students completing. And so we're in the process working with our math now. This isn't easy. Here, math folks, as we work through this, we're not lowering standards. Not every student, and we're also different pathways in math. So, it used to be, everybody has to learn algebra. How many of you have ever used algebra since you left college? Probably maybe one or two of you. You don't. You see science, 330 years since I've used my algebra, whatever. So there are different pathways. If you're going a pathway we don't need that math, why do we force you to take algebra? That's what we've been doing for years and years and years. So we've got these different, too late for you, Cherie, sorry. But anyway, so we're looking at that pathway for math too, say, okay, and at West Point we called it math for poets and lovers. We had a little lesser level math, but there should be a math path where they don't necessarily need it, maybe learn a little bit statistics, and then get on through in their degree, but that's been a big impediment for student success. Seamless and easy transition to university. So we have pathways that shows where they can go to Washington State University or Portland State, the two universities I've said, but there are programs that they can graduate from Clark and go right into, and we set up sort of pathways with them so that they get right into, they're accepted right away if they graduate with a degree at Clark College. And so we've just got to help that seamless transition and to the workforce. We have advisory groups, workforce, folks that are working in the workforce right now that are advising us on our career and technical education programs. They're assisting us on what we need to do to prepare that student. And you hear over and over, part of that training of learning to be a welder or automotive technician are those life skills like being able to work in a team environment, problem solve, communicate, show up to work on time. Show up to work on time. Show up to work on time. I hear that over and over. Those sort of things have to be emphasized as part of our education process. So what will result in this? We'll have a lot better retention. If we implement all this and the students get this experience, much more better retention. They're going to move from first quarter to second quarter. Also, they're going to be much better completion. Many more students are going to complete. It's going to cost them less, and it's going to take less time. If we can implement all this, and we're in the process of putting the systems and structure in place to make this happen so that our students are more successful. And so it's taken 3 or 4 years to really kind of get that going and implementing, and it takes some, a little bit of money, but we're going to make this thing happen, and our students are going to be much more successful. So when we talk about pathways, when a student goes on a computer right now and tries to figure out what what program, or there's a list of 150 in alphabetical order. So if I'm coming to Clark College, what do I want to do? The advisor says, well, here, hit this little drop-down menu, and there's 150 programs listed in alphabetical order accounting, blah, blah, blah. You make your choice. Now, is that not overwhelming to a student? So these areas of study that we're putting in place, so we're breaking that 150 down into areas of study. So there's 6 areas of study there. You can see them all. And those 150 programs are underneath one of those areas of study. So this already helps a student if they're inclined to be in the STEM field. All right, let me click on the STEM field button and let me see the 30 programs or 25 programs underneath STEM that I can work on. And now they have a little bit better idea, a little more focus on what they're going to do. And so this is a huge change. And so getting our computer system and we're in the process of changing that whole computer system because it's not easy, but get it so we have a drop-down menu to a database that will click, when we click on STEM, that it pops up those programs in the area of STEM. But now that's the areas of study that you hear. And so, for example, in business entrepreneurship, that's what they would see when you clicked on that. So it gives you an idea the degrees you can get under business and entrepreneurship in that field. So now things may jump out at you. Oh, well, I want to be in the baking and pastry arts fundamentals. We got a new culinary program. That's what I want to do. You click on that, it'll tell you all the classes that you need to take. And it'll tell you, from day one, these are classes I need to take, and in 2 years I'll have that degree. That's a certificate. That may be, they take a year to do that. But anyway, it'll tell you how long it is and what the courses are that you're going to take. It's a lot simpler and better for the student. So the impact. Here's Georgia State University, which is a urban college that's a 2-year college and a 4-year college together in downtown Atlanta in a skyscraper. So they have no land, they're just built in a skyscraper in downtown Atlanta. So they were one of the first to implement guided pathways. So before they implemented it, you can see the whites, the graduation rate was 31%. Today, there's 50%. And when you add in the ones that I talked about, like my son who transfer and get a 4-year degree but didn't graduate with a 2-year certificate, it's 76%. So 3/4 of their students now, white students, are actually getting what they came there for. Now, African Americans, on the other hand, they were completing at a much lower rate, 25%. But when Guided Pathways was implemented, they actually did better than the whites. And when you add in the transfer, 77, they're all now completing at the same rate. And you can see that for the Latinx too, same thing. Basically, when Guided Pathways was implemented, they completed better and they transfer much better. And so, if we provide the right conditions, the right structure for our students, some students need a little more help than others. As I mentioned, some students get it right away. You know those students. The advisor can figure out right away who those students that don't need all that extra help. But most of our students need that extra help. We need to find who those are and help them. But if we provide the systems, frame of mind, our faculty and staff get it and know it, the student and identify those students that need that extra help, they can succeed at the same rate of all students can succeed at the same rate. I mean, the data is showing that more and more across the country as folks implement guided pathways. And that's where we want to be. That's equity. And so that's what really Guided Pathways is all about, is making sure that all of our students have the ability. Now, there are going to be students that won't succeed, but we're going to have a much higher percentage of students succeed, and ideally, they succeed all at approximately the same rate. Again, here's the return on investment. If we move our completion rate from 25%, which our goal is to move it to 40%, so that's increasing it by 15%, the return on investment for the student, $7,200, and then they go out and earn money, is a big $3.6 million difference for their earning potential, because they're going to get done and they're going to be able to go out and get a job much sooner and quicker. Those 15% that's plus 500 students basically getting their degree annually. The tuition income from Clark College is increased, so we're getting more. So, as our enrollment declined, and it continues to decline because of the economy, we're going to retain more of those students that show up there. So by retaining them, they're paying their tuition, and it's a $2.1 million impact to our budget, our bottom line at Clark College. So not only is the student benefiting hugely, so is Clark College. And we have more money for resources to help those students. So it's a win-win for both the student and for the college. What are your questions? I mean, it's just, to me, it's a no-brainer. Yes, Newt. Yeah, so unfortunately, many of our students don't have a Paula and Bob Knight or, others like you out there that support. They don't have that. And so, Jeanette, as Jeanette told her story, her father left at 3 years old, basically, yeah. And so they don't have quite all that family support. The ones of us that do, it makes a difference. Like Newt said, it makes a huge difference to have someone in the family that's helped. Paula and I both have gone to college, and it's huge because we know what it takes to go to college and what you got to do to prepare. But many of our students, 72%, first generation, don't have someone at home that has that support now. Yes, Jay? Well, it's like yesterday. So Carl and I were meeting with the group of all the counselors from the whole district, from all the high schools. Every high school in the district was invited, their counselors were invited, we gave them lunch, and we talked to them about the guided pathways. So really the key is, one of the keys is in the high schools. Many of our counselors are not even mentioning a community college, much less Clark College, as an option. And I tell them, yesterday when I talked to them, it's a disservice that they're not doing that, because many of those students are going to think they've got to go out and be a four-year college with a big football team and a big baseball team and basketball team, and they flounder out there, waste their money, and they come back as failures, and they return to Clark College after spending money and doing that. And so they've actually got to, it's not the only option, but they've got to talk to them as a very viable option. So one of the things we're doing is we're really focusing on the high school counselors, but we're also doing some, we're going to do some intensive marketing out there with the very limited marketing budget that we have. And so, go and talking to different groups, to community groups, Rotary clubs and Lions clubs and things like that, getting the word out, and talking to you. I mean, this is part of it. Your neighbors, talking to folks about it, that, opportunity of community college and what it can do and save money and a great education. I mean, I didn't know that when I was growing up in Melbourne, Florida. I did not think Brevard Community College was an option that I thought was a very good option. It just wasn't what I thought of. I just didn't know. And so, like I said, I was very fortunate. I didn't have parents that were guiding me or helping me, but I had a friend, Mr. Keating, who talked to me about going to West Point. That's very, very fortunate. So, yes. Yeah, I saw that in the paper. Yeah, Merrillhurst closing, and we had articulation agreements with Merrillhurst. That was yeah. I'm amazed. Yes, Jim. Well, We've asked for funding, and so it's raising the funds to support some additional, maybe, as I mentioned, the advising piece, where we hire some teachers, hourly teachers after school, come in and make phone calls to some of these students, or help us with adding some more advisors, or just providing tutoring, helping tutoring assistants, enhancing our tutoring programs and assistance. So that's another way. Folks, you got Travis or Shonda or Carl, you got any other ideas how they can help? Yeah. Yeah, we're really get our faculty more involved in the advising process. They know those students better than the advisors do. They see those students every day in the classroom, and they know when their student's struggling. They know first. They know before the advisor knows, and probably know before the even student knows that they're going to struggle. And we need those faculty involved in that. And so, as we're bargaining that through the contract and working on that, and so there's a little bit of a cost there for that, but getting that done. I'll go first here. Go ahead, Peter. Yeah, it's all colleges. So there's a percentage that actually get their degree or certificate, and then there's another percentage that go on to a four-year college university, not getting their degree or certificate, and get a four-year degree, or they go out and get a job. So we have in some of our professional technical, I use welding as an example. They get hired away before they even complete. Once they learn the basic weld, their companies are so desperate in hiring, whether it's the Navy shipyards, or they're hiring them away before they even get their certificate. They're getting a job. That's what they came for. So we get no credit for that. So, life gets in the way of these students at a community college. And boy, if they can get a high-paying job or good-paying job and go out and put food on the table, they're gone. And so we're trying, so we don't get, so when we say 25%, when the national database takes our data, they don't count those students. So that's why community colleges get a sort of a bad rap. When you compare us to four-year college universities, the only thing folks are going there for really are getting that degree. And it's easy to measure that. They either get their degree, four-year degree, or they don't. But at a community college, they're coming here for they want a job, many of them do. Many want to transfer. So we get credit for those that complete that certificate or degree, but there's many that are successful. We had a success rate that Shauna put together, whether they get a job, even though they don't get a certificate or they didn't get their degree, they get jobs. That's success for them because that's what they came for. But we don't, in the national database, we get no credit for that. And so that's part of the reason community colleges get a bad name, because there's a lot of students that are successful that we don't get credit for in the national database. For your We have what we call a reverse transfer program. So we try to reach out to them. In Bill's area, we try to reach out to the ones that are close or within a degree or two. They can come back and they can get their degree by working with us on that. So it's called reverse transfer. So yeah, we look at those.